This is Mike Watt, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking Podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studio is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Big Strix Vinyl Records and Sports Cards, located in Rock Island, Illinois. New, vintage, and previously owned. You can find it at Big Strix. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. And tonight's guest is
Mike Watt from the Minutemen and FIREHOSE.
And what's he promoting?
He's talked mostly about a band called MAO, which is Mold, Omen, and Watt. He's got a host of other releases he's done this year and working on. We go into a deep dive of some of the things he's been working on. So
he's got a lot,
and it's great. Check it out.
Let's get to the interview.
Good night.
Good night. Mike, welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for joining us.
Oh, is that like the Jane's Addiction album?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, I've been playing with Perk he just had his Double Nickels B-Day.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he's 12 years younger than me. I've been playing with that cat since the early 90s.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. So let's get right into this. So in a few weeks, one of your projects, Mo, will be releasing a new album. Can you talk to us about this latest endeavor featuring yourself and the members of...
I don't know Mo. That sounds like that fish band, right? I think M-O-W, I'd say it's more Mao.
Oh, okay.
We've never said it out loud, you know, and I finally met them guys April. They drove from DC, Baltimore to DC, and before, right after the sound check, before we played, we did this album that just is coming out, or just came out, right? Friday.
Yeah.
Right. We're already talking round 4. You know, on my Watt from Pedro show, I played all the fucking Mode Omen I could. That's what it stands for, Mode Omen with Watt.
Yeah.
It's an acronym. So. That fish band it's I think with an E and a period. Not to muddy the water.
Well, this latest album, Blames Joyce, was was it recorded live at?
Andy came up with that. Yeah, it's because of the other 2 records, you know, sending the files through the internet.
Yeah.
So, and we wanted to respond at the same time, so we would wait till each other was ready and then we'd go, so no one heard first. But still, it ain't like playing together. And this new record, latest one, is us 3 actually. I have what's it called, Reaper on my crap top, And I just turned it on, and for 48 minutes we went for it. Mike Percy had an electric guitar. Andy Livingston had a trombone with a mic and like kind of a mute thing in. And then I played the bass, and we went into this little, what's it called, Scarlet interface. And then they took it and edited and, did their Mode Omen thing to it.
Nice.
But it was us for the first time. This trading files thing, I realized I was doing this shit in the 80s. The first Dose record, when Kay left Black Flag, she finished up at UCLA and got a degree in engineering, got an internship up in New Haven. So we put together Dose was just 2 basses. And what we did was we each got a 4-track machine and would send the cassettes through the mail. Yeah. So like an analog version, like, I don't know, 30 years, 40 years before, same basic concept.
Right. It's so cool.
Sort of like the way the Principia Discordia was put together with a mimeograph machine in the early 60s. Greg Hill and Kerry Thorley.
Very good. Yeah.
There's, what do you say? The fucking aesthetic is informed by the ethic, huh?
Absolutely. Good. Well, can you talk a little bit about I think it was Pearl Street Warehouse where it was recorded? I'm not familiar.
Well, it's a venue.
Yeah.
And it was actually recorded in the backstage, like I said, after the sound check, Andy and Mike met me there. And so we're not really on the stage. We're not really using the venue, that part. We're using the backstage dressing room thing, right? And we just went for it. What they call it. I was reading this thing on Coleman Hawkins. He said they called them cutting sessions. The jam session was like a new word for him. because cutting sessions, these guys, like with knives and shit. I'm not saying they didn't have fun and stuff, but there might have been competition. So what I've learned, last year I did a tour with Joe Baiza and Chris Corsano, and I would call it not a jam. It's the first time I think I really did full-on improvising. And that's what I kind of did with Mike and Andy. Stev's jamming. I think it's just kind of slang saying that, realizing what the word means or where it came from. But improvising means you're trying to create, you're listening, you're taking turns, whatever. Jam is like, right, some guy comes up with an idiom and the other guy's just, it's like Jerry's Kids, like that Mo band.
Yeah.
Chris Corsano kind of taught me that. I got really close to him on the stage. Kind of, Georgie, back in Minutemen days, if he saw somebody picking their ass, he would call him a hand puppet. And in a way, I was trying to, in the metaphor, speaking, let Chris Corsano play his drums through me. I got so close, I let because, the first couple gigs we did before that tour, I did try that shit where I was trying to find some little motif or something, and that stupid way. And he don't play that way. He's like from the Milford Graves schools. He keeps inventing stuff. So I just let that stuff go and let him almost, be like hand puppet, or me be the hand puppet, and let him play his drums through. Actually, it's kind of my take on, when I was more young. Bass. Well, first I thought, no, that's where you put your retarded friend and shit, right field, Little League. But then some people say, that's 4-string guitar. But as I get less younger, I think it's a 4-string drum set.
Yeah.
So there's something about, being in that situation with Chris Corsano. Now, with Andy and Mike and doing this Mao third record, there's no drummer. So I was kind of thinking of Larry Graham. Larry Graham came up with the thing. Well, I mean, rockabilly guys, they slap the string against the neck, but the thumb,
Yeah,
as a kick and your finger, as a snare drum, and because they couldn't carry a drummer for a gig. So I was kind of thinking a little bit about that, but then again, I was thinking of all them Mold Omen songs that I played on my Watt from Pedro show, and like maybe, they don't have a drummer on purpose. They're not using sequencers, and so I was really, I really think if you keep yourself open enough, everybody's got something to teach you, And if you always are bringing your shit to the parties in jack booths, they're never going to get a word in edgewise. So Pearl Street, that was the conduit. What was trippy was Ian Mackay coming there after we got done with that. He always comes to my gigs. And him telling me about the Bad Brains was started actually by Daryl, the bass player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a prejudice a little bit. When I was a teenager, I only wrote one song. It was called Mr. Bass King of Outer Space. Had issues, obviously. But to hear that, and he told me the whole story, and it was really interesting about that. And then a lot of his family. One of his sisters was singing in the opening band, and the other cat who's in the, what's that called, Hammered Hulls? The Mackay family. The last song on Double Nickels on the Dime was written in the basement of the Discord house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and in fact, that's where D. Boone said he thinks word hardcore came from, because you had to be a DC band, and hardcore is there's the letters DC in there.
Nice.
Just like heavy metal was like the lyric in Steppenwolf song.
Exactly.
Mars song. Yeah.
Well,
it's also the Blue Oyster Cult song.
Exactly. But a
Nazi fighter, a jet fighter.
We wanted to move on and talk a little bit about Missingmen. That's a new.
I'm working on that right now.
Yeah, you got a new album coming out?
Yeah. Well, new album. Okay, I'll tell you about the Missingmen. I put this band together in 2006, so we're coming on 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Put it together to realize my third opera, which was a trip, right? I never thought I'd write one of those motherfuckers, and I ended up writing three of them.
Yeah.
And third one was really unexpected. These two guys, Tim Irwin and Keith Sharon, never got to see the Minutemen. So the way they kind of could learn about them was make a documentary. They made it's called We Jam Econo. You can see it for free on YouTube.com. And they wanted me to talk about the records. See, I couldn't really listen to the Minutemen records after D. Boone got killed and shit.
Yeah.
But I had to talk about him, and I had just started helping the Stooges. I thought the Coachella thing was going to be one gig. Turned it 126 months. But anyway, at this point, so I had to listen to the records, and at the same time, I'm doing a gig with them in Madrid because it's the 400 B-Day of Mike Cervantes' Don Quixote. And next to the Tell is a fucking museum called Prado. And first time I couldn't find him because they don't call him Hieronymus Bosch. They call him El Bosco, like El Greco. So I found him. And looking at him, I thought, wow, that's kind of like a Minutemen gig. Because here's what happened. When I listened to those records to do that spiel for Tim and Keith, I wanted to do that music again, but I didn't want to rip off Georgie and D. Boone. So I thought this was kind of a way I could do it again. And so I put the Missingmen together. I thought that I could make the little tune thing. We got the idea from Wire, Pink Flag. They were on Harvest, the biggest band on that label when they were signed. So anyway, the little song idea, but, we didn't want, especially Hollywood punk scene, people to know that we learned off Blue Oyster Cult and Creed's Clearwater Revival. So we thought the little song thing. So I thought I could still do that, but how I could make it not be a ripoff of Georgie and D. Boone was sort of like where you put Funkadelic with Captain Beefheart. Mm-hmm. And then this whole idea of Richard Hell, right? The bass player gets to write the songs. And although I didn't write all the songs, I wrote most of them. But here I'm going to do the whole thing for this opera. But I'm going to change the subject matter. There's no way Georgie, myself, and D-Boom would write about being a middle-aged punk rocker. So that's why I come up with the idea for the Hyphenated-Man. So I put this band together with Raul Morales, who helped out with my second opera, Second Man's Mill Stand. He came in. I had to have a second string of the second man because they're both longshoremen and were having children at the time. So when the album came out, they couldn't tour. So I got Kay's brother, Paul Rossler, and Raul Morales. So I get him for the drums. That's a trippy story. You know, I was touring so much in the 90s, I didn't realize a punk scene developed in Pedro here because I was gone so much. You know, Minutemen, there was only like 9 of us in Pedro, right? We're like 30 miles south of Hollywood in the harbor. And so I was surprised. So Raul's from that scene. So I wanted him. And then Tom Watson is from Slovenly. He's from the SST days. So I got a guy from the newer Pedro punks, well, for those days, scene, and then Tom Watson from the older scene to make this record that's going to use some stuff that I did in the Missingmen. And that becomes Hyphenated-Man.
Yeah.
And even that made a turn because then I was thinking of Wizard of Oz and Dorothy. And what, you know, if I'm going to make this about middle age, I mean, I read the book, so I know Hollywood added some shit. Like, for example, the farmhands are end up the scarecrow.
Right. In
black and white, they're the farmhands. And in color part, they're in the scarecrow, Tin Man, and the lion, cowardly lion. And so I'm thinking, you know what? They're really not love interests except maybe Toto and shit. But Dorothy is tripping on what men have to do to prove they're men, especially when they're losing it at middle age. Yeah. So that becomes, you know, in your 20s. Remember, Double Nickels on the dot. We got that idea from Husker Du. You're thinking about maybe middle-aged men are thinking of other middle-aged men too, but we were thinking of dudes in the 20s, you know? Like Darby, right? 22, that's a kid. But he don't seem that way to me. He's my age. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the way we were thinking. So I'm thinking middle-aged like that. And I guess Dorothy was, you know, what's her name? Judy Garland. They're dressing her up to be a girl, right? And but she's tripping on this fucking thing. And I dug that. And so I put that in the opera. Anyway, I wrote the whole thing. D-Boom was killed in the van wreck where all our shit was still in the boat from the tour with REM. Yeah. And his brother and his father gave me I got him at his father's pad. His brother gave his 2 guitars. So one of the telecasts, one of them, the strings broke off. Still, I never put strings, that purple one. But the black one, I used it to write Hyphenated-Man. And I can't play guitar very well or shit, but I did write some songs in the old days, maybe 5%. But I write the whole fucking thing on this. And then I make the demos, and I do it in 30 parts. The first opera, Cop Clayton Engine Room, very sad ending. You know, D-Boon gets killed, my pop gets killed, fucked up. Second Man, actually happy ending. I don't die from that fucking sickness that almost killed me. So third opera, no end, all middle, you know, middle age, this fucking thing. But, you know, in a perfect world, I would have just done all 30 parts at once. It would have been very short, probably hard to play. Well, hard to listen to, impossible to play. So I had to come up with some fucking kind of order kind of thing where I could make like a wheel. Anyway, I put these all together, and Tom Watson fucking learns on my palsy guitar, you know. And then Raul, I work out, you know, I can't play drums, so I do it with my mouth. Like his parts is I'm teaching Tom Watson the guitar. So anyway, the point is, they were both such bitching guys to help me realize that. Even though I wrote it, you know, I played it with the 2 guys. It was trippy, too, the way I did it. I thought the way to keep it from sounding least Minutemen was get rid of the only Minutemen. So I taught them the guitar and then created the drums with them without them ever hearing any of the words or the bass. So in the middle of a tour at Tony Maimoni's and Joel Hamilton's studio in Brooklyn, Studio G, I had them fucking record it without me, and I went a year later and added the bass and the singing. It was
Oh, wow.
You know, shit you could do recording it, you can't do at gigs or backstage at Pearl Street Warehouse. Okay? You know, it's just the way life is. You know, life gets in the way, right? There ain't no fucking... It is what it is, and there's pluses and minuses, and so that's what I did for that, and I felt good about it. In fact, I felt really good about Tom Watson and Raul Morales helping me realize that. So I thought right away, these guys deserve an album. Now here it's 20 years later, it's finally coming about. We've laid down all the parts. And the next 2 weeks now, I put on the spiel, and then Pizzo, my second man organ man, he ended up building a studio here in Pedro called Casa Hans, where I do all my recording now. And he's going to mix it. So this album's going to be out before 2025 is over.
Very good. Nice.
This is the reason for it. In a way, not in a way, totally bottom line is gratitude towards Raul Morales, Tom Watson. But in another way, it's a fucking document. This is where we are right now. And see, this is something I got hold of the Minutemen days, but I realized after T-Boone got killed was because we always thought they were like fly. I remember when we first got the movement, me and T-Boone had a big discussion about, how's this different than a fucking Nuremberg rally arena rock shit, right? Well, we're going to divide the world into two categories. There's going to be flyers and gigs. And everything that ain't a gig is a flyer, because the gigs, we didn't know about clubs. And they were so much different than fucking arena rock.
Yeah.
They're like record stores. How many bands started at arena rock shows? How many bands started at record stores, Right. I remember Brother Steve telling me he got Ig's job at the record store in Ann Arbor, and then he ends up playing sax on Funhouse, There's something about the record store, and I think the club is the same way. I know this helping the Stooges guys. They told me about in the 60s. There was little labels. There was garage bands and stuff. It was just those few years in the 70s that was fucked up, and the movement was actually us. It wasn't really new. It was just us, the guys 13 in 1970, learning about this stuff. But anyway, flyers and gigs. So everything that ain't a gig is a flyer. But then, especially with the experience of losing D-Boone, there are also documents, which is something a lot of the more younger people, I hear people talking shit. Oh, they got it too easy that they can have accessibility to all this music. Mm-hmm. I think it's a bitching thing. Yeah. Because they can experience all these documents. And they lose out on I don't think so, because it's there's just other ways of mystery, right? Because this cat leads to another cat. John Coltrane talked about music being like a big reservoir and everybody drinking, and you don't know this cat listened to that cat, and you don't know even who that cat was. He's talking about John Gilmore, right? When Frank Kofsky asked him if he was ripping off Sun Ra. It's like that. So the document aspect, I think, is important too of these works. And so that's the way I look at this too. It's gratitude towards Tom and Raul, but it's also a document of where the Missingmen are, after, they helped me. It's the same with the Secondmen, I put that band together for my second opera. I was going to do one on my cat because the first one was so sad, but then he died. I said, fuck, I can't have two sad ones in a row. But then I got that sickness and it almost killed me, but I lived. So I thought, I can have a happy ending.
Absolutely.
And so next year, I'm making an album for the Secondmen. Same thing. Gratitude to Pete Mazes, Jerry Trebetich. And also, here's a document. Here's where we are. I got into music to be with D-Boone. So I lost the reason why I got into all this stuff really early. So just like when I'm writing songs, I have to come up with the title first. I need anchor points, Does that explain things a little bit?
Yeah. Do you have a release date yet for in the moment, or
before 2025? Because Pizzo's got to mix it. I'm giving it, like I said, these 2 weeks. I give him the rest of the parts. He's got 3 months to mix it. I don't want to sweat him. he's a longshoreman during the day, heavy lift operator.
Yeah.
And but he's, especially these days, he says music is really giving him good focus. And in so many ways, maybe for you guys too, different points of your life, music can be a real fucking lifeline.
Right.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Do you have any plans to take the Missingmen out on the road and support this new album?
Well, once it's out, here's my tour plans right now. Mike Baggetta, the last couple of years I've been helping Mike Baggetta with this project he's got called MSSV,
yes,
which stands for Main Steam Stop Valve, from a book by Richard McKenna, The Sand Pebbles. Actually, my first experience with it was a movie with Steve McQueen, and it was me and D. Boone's favorite movie, but we couldn't understand what it was about. But, Steve McQueen, the sailor suit, was one of those big ones that was on 2 nights in a row when we were kids, But anyway, the book is like a mind blow. It was written by a machinist mate. It was with Perk. I was helping the Porno for Pyro guys in Pittsburgh in 1996, and I found it in a used bookstore. I couldn't believe it was a book, but I read the first page and I knew a fucking sailor wrote it because the way my pop talked.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mike Baggetta names his project after that. I just did my 72nd and 73rd tour with him, but he's got another thing coming next fall. It's with Johnny Herndon, who plays drums for Tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
And it don't have a name yet, but that's my next tour.
Oh, cool.
I'm not going to tour this spring or fall, which is kind of weird, but just ain't. I'm getting together Pedro stuff,
Mm-hmm. Well, looking at your website, you got plenty of things.
Well, gigs, but that's not a tour.
Well,
right?
no, not
and
gigs.
In fact, one of them is out of town. One's in St. Louis, and it's with Chris Corsano and Joe Biza.
Yeah,
it's the school. The school is putting on a gig. It's like that tour I did last year with Chris Corsano and Joe Biza. He's living in Chicago these days, and this cat contacted him for a gig in St. Louis. So me and Joe Biza will fly out here from SoCal do that. But I don't really have. I might be doing some with Mike Baggetta. John Hannaran with Henry Kaiser got me to do a version of the 2 big suites from John Coltrane, Love Scream and Meditations. And Joe Hannaran's thinking about trying to get that in Cuba. I've never played in Cuba, but like a week of gigs with Mike Baggetta and some guy he knows in Chicago on saxophone. So some of these things they're things I'm part of, so I can't really give you definitive information.
Sure, that's all right.
I'm the side mouse.
Well, I guess the part I was
sometimes things come up so quick. I did a Porno for Pyro tour last year, right? It's coming on 2 years now.
Right.
I had to learn. And I had played with them in like 20-something years. I had to learn 23 songs in 3 weeks. So sometimes things just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know those are always amazing stories when you hear of jumping on tour and like you get like only a couple of days to learn the parts. Those are some amazing stories.
I heard the Ziggy Stardust thing was a couple of weeks. He went up to Hull to live with Mick Ronson and Woody Woodmansey and who's that little bass guy? He's good. I learned a lot from him. He had the weird sideburns.
I'm not quite sure.
He ended up playing in Uriah Heep. What was his name?
I don't know.
Little guy. He reminded me of Dusty Hill. I met Dusty Hill and he had like 10 thumbs. God, was he a good bass player.
Yeah.
This guy too is good. This is the thing. I'm 67 now and I have these senior moments. If I don't think about it, it'll come to me.
Right.
But I learned a lot of bass from this. A lot of the England guys or Scottish, like Jack Bruce, with rock and roll, the bass was really loud when I was a kid. I could, like Cream, I could hear really well. That's the whole thing I got into flannels, because when I met D. Boone, he only knew Creedence, and I couldn't hear the fucking bass on those records. So I looked at the covers, and I saw the singers' shirts. The first gig we saw was T-Rex. So I said, oh, Mark Boland, he likes a boa. So this guy, I'm from Navy housing. I don't know fucking farmers or lumberjacks. So look at his rock and roll shirt. So I thought maybe if I wore his shirt, Steve Boone would still like me because I could not fucking hear the bass.
Well, between Mao, Missingmen, and then Albumen, with all the stuff that you got going.
You know about Albumen.
Yeah. How are you able?
We're talking about round 2.
Yeah.
We're talking about round 2.
But as far as
what that is? You know what that is? That's a consequence of the Watt from Pedro show. Greg, the horn man, was a guest on my show. It's, the 3-layer cake thing, right? We just came out with this fucking 4-star review in Downbeat Mag. I'm reading Eric Duffy. I've been reading all these bios last 4 or 5 years on these bebop guys, and doing up the Samosco temperament one on Eric Duffy now. And you read about, it came out in the 30s, Downbeat Mag. But it's the same thing. These guys are guests on my show, and then you end up jamming with them, and they turn into albums.
Yeah, I know, that's cool.
Yeah, but it's like in the old days at gigs, right? You run into dudes, and I tell you, the ethics inform the aesthetic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it sure does.
That's how the Albumen, Greg came up with that name, and then his buddies up in Seattle ended up dogpiling being part of it too. First, he sent me him on the horn, and then I did the same thing with the 3-layer cake, but that was with the drummer man, Mike Pride.
Mike Pride, yeah.
He said, also I did it with Scotty Irvin in North Carolina, right? Kind of near Hamlet, where John Coltrane was born. That's why it's called Spirit of Hamlet. They send me these tracks, but I don't listen to them until I'm ready to go for it, like they're in the room with me. And I just pretend they're jam playing it, and I'm reacting to them. So I try to, recreate the improvised situation. And, of course, the dilemma of who goes first is solved because they're there on the fucking track. So I just reacted to the shit. Sent it back, and then he had Brandon Seabrook. And then Greg did the same thing with his buddies. There's supposed to be some website called JamaCam or JamaZam where you can do shit in real time. Maybe, there's latency and shit. There's a problem with trying to do it over the internet. Yeah. But, this whole deal about, like in the old days, we had to be limited because of the physical things. And why should you let something like that get in the way if you want to fucking do something? I mean, that was the whole means of the fanzine, right? You could share with people without a filter, without going to a corporate website. You just print it up yourself and you print what you want. If the guy's going to go on tour, your band will open up. He'll conk at your pad. I mean, it's the fabric of community. You know what I'm saying? So these kind of prods and improvisations or scored out stuff or, whatever, however you're going to get the fucking boat in the water, that's what gets done. And to me, that's what it's all about. That's what links us with Walt Whitman and, his first edition of Leaves of Grass. This guy's going to write 12 poems to stop the Civil War and print them himself. That guy's going to read this shit at lunchtime right on the farm in the factory. Didn't work, but we got the, again, the flyers and the gigs and documents and us doing the spiel here.
Yeah. 3-Layer Cake's album, Sounds of the Color of Grounds, came out in June. Looking through your website, you've had quite a few releases this year. Do you ever take a break?
Well, yeah, you meet people and they just come on. I mean, I've been doing the Watt from Pedro show 24 years, 4 months. And now in the beginning, not so much guests, but man, especially last, I don't know, 6-7 years, I've had lots of guests. And a lot of those things turn into projects.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's exciting.
The 3-Layer Cake totally comes from that. Both those guys were on the Watt from Pedro show. Greg with the Albumen you brought up. Yeah.
Oh, I want to take it back a couple of years. Two albums that I really enjoyed listening to this week were the Cutthroat Brothers and Mike Watt. Can you talk? The Devil is in Berlin.
Okay, that's during the situation.
Yeah,
they're guests on my show, It's actually the drummer man from Zeke and a buddy of his who was a barber in Hawaii. And they're on the show. Sometimes I have guests on my show. Howard used to be my publicity man. You know, I was 14 years on Columbia. He was my publicity man there. So he does this. You can hire him to tell people about gigs, like what you were saying at the beginning, Joe was.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got introduced. They come on my show, and then their band is just drums and guitar. And then the situation came on, there's no touring, and they asked me to put bass on some songs. I ended up doing like 3 albums with them. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting about that. I mean, it always tripped me out, the whole thing about bands without bass guitar anyway. I understand more room in the boat, but that poor lonely fucking kick drum. On Dodger radio here, this guy was asking me what I was trying to do with bass, and it was like Dodgers, right? So I want to get too music theory on him. So I said, well, I'm just trying to dance with the kick drum. So that's the closest note. So, yeah, that's the way I looked at it. I really like those records. The guy who mixed that thing, the guy who did Bleach, right? The Nirvana album.
Oh, cool. No, I'm not sure.
What's his name?
Was that
right?
that was on the Bleach album?
No recess. There's a guy, that Chris, until he was 12 years old, lived in Pedro. There's a Pedro connect, but that there's a connect there too somehow. You don't know. Look, power goes off in the bathhouse. You're groping. Is that you? Is that after a while? But don't matter, right? That's the way I am with music. I really am. This is why I'm kind of at war with the whole idea of fucking genre. It's stupid. It's prejudice. It's I told you I'm a little prejudiced towards bass guitar, but maybe I should say segregated kind of thinking to, music is music. So, and remember earlier I was telling you, I believe everybody's got something they can teach me,
right.
Me, the problem of something's fucking that up. So I get presented with some music. I've said no sometimes, but hardly ever. And it's usually for not a not music reason, that I just can't do it because of the situation at the time.
I think it was Jack and Dino.
Jack and Dino, right?
Yeah, it was.
That's Jack. Yeah,
he was
Jack,
on the Cutthroat Brothers.
Right. He's the guy who mixes that stuff. And he's the only guy. Usually I always record 24-bit 44.1, but he makes me do fucking 96K. So the files are way fucking bigger. Like you can tell. But anyway, you got to make him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Never met him in person.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way, I tell you, the fanzine is totally. Actually, even the internet is like fanzine, right? Everybody's got their own website. That's the way I thought it would happen. Everybody have their own websites, like everybody have their own fanzine. The ethics of the fanzine in the old days of the movement. In SoCal here, we had a Flipside and Slash. Because if you ask me what you guys are doing, you're nothing shocking. Is kind of fanzine ethic.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's Walt Whitman, 1855, first edition, Leaves of Grass.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But
we've always tried to, be like the history buffs, just trying to capture the moment of
no,
stories.
They try to, some people with the capital C, conserving old things.
Yeah.
They say that they're the ones. Actually, there's people that are like letting the freak flag fly. They're using stuff that's pretty old fashioned. Yeah, it's not brand new stuff. I mean, them expressing themselves in the moment. But some of the ethics, they go way back before some of their jive ass shit.
Yep.
Anyway, the authenticity thing with humans is like fucking hilarious. Look at nature. This bug looks like a stick. Why? So it don't get eaten, right? It's lying to the other animals,
Right. Yeah.
Well,
why not humans like fucking whoop up on that shit?
Well, I was kind of making fun earlier of not taking a break, and what I really meant with that is just your work ethic. You've got a lot of product that you're kicking out.
No, look, taking a break. You inhale. You can't always inhale. You can't always exhale. I understand what you mean. There's got to be some dynamic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. That's why I don't have knee surgery. I don't want to get cut again. I was born with bad knees, and I don't hurt. So, no skydiving, no fucking cartwheels. you make trade-offs.
Well, right.
Exactly.
You make trade-offs.
Well, I think
so
it's
what
very
I do is I
inspirational.
part out my time so I can keep these projects going.
Yeah.
But I don't do it too insane where I burn out,
Right. Well, it's inspirational for sure.
Well, Mike.
And also, it's the other cats. Why I'm making the Missingmen and Secondmen albums, I'm grateful to these cats. They're not all Watt things. Watt is, bass, people go into the head and they're sitting on the can and shit. And a lot of them are looking at the tile when they look down at the deck. We ain't the tile. We're the fucking grout. We're in between the tile. Okay? So I need the other dudes.
Right.
That's bass. That's the politics of bass. You look good making them look good. So that's why I get myself involved with these things. Even if I'm the fucking, springboard, the launch pad, I still need them,
That's awesome.
And hopefully they can find worth in what I'm giving them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mike, we're out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to promote?
I thought it was more about talking about, but I guess it is promoting us. Nice prostitute, John client, Square John fucking way of talking. Yeah. Well, MikeWatt.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's coming up on 30 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like my fans. You told me you were reading from the news page, the Hoot and the Holler page.
Yeah.
That tells you about what I'm doing. Yeah, MikeWatt.com. And that'll keep you in the moment there. And I really appreciate you guys having me aboard, though.
Oh yeah,
Jeff
fun.
and Eric.
I gotta tell you, we've been trying to get you on for the last maybe a year or so, but thank you for the opportunity. And this is how things are going to work out. Jeff, the editing, he'll get this all edited and make it sound great, and we'll send it to Joe. And please promote it wherever you possibly can.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You give me the word when it's the go time, right?
Yep.
And then I'll let the freak flag fly. Joe was the connect. Yeah, he also runs the label.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Absolutely.
America Laundromat.
Yeah.
Eric, did he tell you about the 7-inch?
Yep.
That I'm doing with Jay Mascis? Yeah. Well, I've done 2 of them for him. I've done one with David Bal-Hog and one with Tim Kerr. And now I'm going to do one with Jay Mascis. Oh, by the way, here's another project that nobody really knows about. You're probably the first I've talked to. When I was on tour with Mike Begetta at MSSV, one of the gigs was in Tempe. And old friends of mine is Meat Puppets. And Chris, the bass man, came to the gig. And they ain't playing much. So he said, can we do a project? So I said, okay. And I talked to Georgie. So once a month, me and Georgie get together and send Chris bass and drums. So there's a George Hurley, Chris Kirkwood, Mike Watt project called The Bottle Conjurers coming out.
Oh, cool.
Within a year, we'll have 12 tunes, right?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that's, you guys are the first to hear about that.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Mike, thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Right back. Whenever you want me back or anything, I'm there.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You have a good one.
Okay, brother.
Bye-bye.
Everybody hides at home inside their nest of snakes. Everybody grinds the stone and makes their own mistakes. Hide in the headlights, fight the grip of fear. You can make your dreams come true, but you just can't do it here. Hey. they ever take from you, then you plug out